Greetings. We will traditionally devote this briefing to exposing the fakes of the aggressor state. Russian President Putin, during the Defense Ministry Board, made several false statements that tried to present Russia almost as a victim in the war that Russia launched against Ukraine, and also to justify the aggression. So Putin said the only guarantor of Ukraine's sovereignty and integrity was Russia. This is a common lie. Russia, which made commitments, violated them when invaded the territory of Ukraine. Thus, no guarantees from Russia, from Putin, have any weight anymore, because they have been repeatedly violated by him. Russian propagandist Soloviov also quoted Putin: "The West is not giving up its aggressive goals in Ukraine, and we are not going to give up ours," Putin stated. The truth is that the West has never had aggressive goals on the territory of Ukraine, but is only a partner that helps Ukraine defend itself against Russian aggression. Russia Today, a foreign broadcasting channel of Russia, also quotes Putin: "The West continues to wage hybrid warfare against Russia. Only Russia is waging a war on Ukrainian lands, and Putin's attempts to shift responsibility to the West are only to explain his own failures on the battlefield when he promised to capture Kyiv and change the government in Ukraine in 3 days." Meanwhile, Yuri Podolyaka, a Russian propagandist, also makes several false propaganda statements, in particular that women's mobilization is going to be introduced in Ukraine. A great many politicians say that it is inevitable. In the second half of 1944, Hitler put 500,000 Germans under the gun because there were not enough soldiers. This is a lie. Ukraine doesn't plan to mobilize women, and the president of Ukraine stated it during his press conference. Podolyaka also has a crisis of the genre. A few weeks ago, he and other Russian propagandists claimed that the Ukrainian military was going to kill President Zelensky, and now they claim that they are going to eliminate the Commander-in-Chief Zaluzhnyi too. I do not exclude that Zaluzhnyi can be physically eliminated, and they would say that Russians did it, and Zelensky could stand behind it. This is nonsense, just like everything else that propagandists claim about the war on the territory of Ukraine. Meanwhile, a fake spread by Russian propagandists with reference to their propaganda branches on the territory of Ukraine has been refuted, about the fact that children of Defense Minister Umerov have American citizenship. In particular, a lot of Russian publishers of internet publications spread false information that Defense Minister Umerov indicated in a declaration of his children as US citizens. In fact, Defense Minister Umerov's explanation is very simple. Citizens of Ukraine, his children, are a son aged 10 and daughters aged 8 and 2. The only thing is that they received passports of Ukrainian citizenship on the territory of the US in the Embassy of Ukraine in Washington. That is why the declaration cited by the Russian propagandists indicated the place of issuance of the documents of the United States of America, and the family of Defense Minister Umerov was forced to go abroad due to attempts and threats as a result of systematic activities of Rustem Umerov on the occupation of temporarily occupied Crimea. Finally, it is worth mentioning a large-scale study of the propaganda attacks carried out by the Russian Federation against Mr. Umerov's predecessor as Minister of Defense Alexei Reznikov. Thus, the Digital Research Lab at the Atlantic Council found that there was a large-scale covert operation of Russian influence, which firstly accused Reznikov of corruption and secondly was intended to reduce Western aid to Ukraine. In particular, it was found that a whole network of channels at that point spread a fake video about the alleged acquisition by Reznikov's daughter of a villa in Madrid, Spain, through a Cypriot offshore company. This information was completely fabricated as the research was made up. A whole network of fake accounts was involved, which presented different houses under the guise of one house, then named different values of these houses, and none of these houses had anything to do with Reznikov and his family. Moreover, these videos became globally spread. One of them had 1.7 million views, 10,000 likes. It is important to remember that this video from TikTok platform was then transferred to YouTube, and it was spread by Russian propagandists, who are also a source of information for many citizens of Ukraine, unfortunately, who can trust this information. In particular, it is about Yuri Shvets, who calls himself a classmate of Putin. He is a former Soviet intelligence officer who published information on his YouTube channel about alleged Reznikov's house, claiming that last week he received information that Reznikov's daughter had bought a villa for $12 million, while the amount was several times less. This information is absolute nonsense and fake. Another fake from the Russian propaganda is the statement of the American billionaire Elon Musk that he believes that Russian President Vladimir Putin is a good man, and Musk himself seems to mind getting a Russian passport in the future. This information is a fake. No such statements were made by Elon Musk, and this information was spread around the world through Russian information sources, which created this fake. Traditionally, I urge you not to trust Russian propaganda Russian sources of disinformation. Trust verified sources of information. Believe the Ukrainian military and political leadership. Thank you for your attention. Glory to Ukraine.